This video is about storing variables in RAM and how do you get data into those variables. If we wanted to create a variable called num1, I would simply say int num1 semicolon. Int is the data type that describes the variable, and num1 would be the name of the variable. And we have to put a semicolon after that. If I have two variables of the same data type, I would say int space num1 followed by a comma, and the next line right underneath num1 I would say num2, and I would always end that with a semicolon. If I had two variables of the same type, two whole numbers that I'm going to refer to as ints, and if I had one decimal point value, I would say int num1 comma and the new line, and I would say num2 semicolon, and then I would say float avg semicolon. Float is the different data type of this particular variable avg. Float means that avg can hold a decimal point. Int means that num1 and num2 can only hold whole numbers. Now I could do this from a style perspective. That would be fine. Usually I try to line up all the variables. Now what does it mean to create a simple variable called num1 as far as main storage? Okay, well, if all these little circles represented storage areas in main storage, I would be declaring an area in RAM 4 bytes big, and I would call it num1. And that's all that I mean when I declare a variable. I create a storage area in RAM that doesn't have any value in it, and the name of that storage area is called num1. Now in just a second we're actually going to get some data into num1. How do we do that? So to get data into a variable, we have to prompt the user. We have to ask a question. And in C++, cout is how I prompt the user, how I display something on the screen. So I say cout less than, enter a value, colon, space, and this is in quotes. This is called a string of characters. And of course, don't forget the semicolon. And now the next line says cn greater than num1 semicolon. This line will halt the program. The program will actually stop and wait for the user to respond. When the user responds with, say, a 5, 5 goes into num1. Okay, so if we come back up here into main storage, this area here, a 5 would be stored in that storage area in RAM. So to get data into a variable, we use a cout statement to prompt the user and a cin statement. And this statement will cause the program to stop and wait for the user to respond. And when the user hits that enter key after he types a 5, then 5 would go into the storage area in RAM that we're calling num1. So to declare a variable again up here, a data type followed by the variable name and a semicolon, that creates the storage area in RAM called num1, and to get data in it you're going to use a cout statement to prompt the user and then a cin statement to wait for the user to respond.